I am coming in off a fresh new episode on my podcast. Of course, if you have not listened to my podcast episode from yesterday or even the one I just posted, I was about to say you can go to the description box, but you may just have to wait until I post the link. But yes, my podcast is called the Divine Faith Podcast, and it's on, I believe, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Music, all that jazz. So you guys are more than welcome to listen to that on whatever platform you choose. The new episode I just did probably around 20 minutes ago is based off of today's position of Mars. And it's one that I think you should probably go and listen to because it does have something to do with our finances, as well as some other stuff that I was looking at. But yes, so I am here today because I just felt like doing this particular video because I came across something on, I don't know where I saw the news, but I think just recently, maybe yesterday, TikTok has been fined like maybe $16 million by the UK or France for something dealing with child security laws or something like that. And, they've been in the news when it comes to testifying in front of Congress. I'm like, you know what? Why don't we look at the natal chart? It didn't take me long to get the information for the natal chart. Okay. So it looks like TikTok is a Libra. I had to take down my posters in my office. So I can't, it might be bordering Libra Virgo. So I'm actually going to look it up now. But I had to take down my cheat sheets on my wall. But either way, okay, it is a Virgo. So TikTok was founded September the 20th, 2016. It was originally called ByteDance, of course. So I just went with the original founding date instead of whenever they bought 3 million different companies and they just changed the name, because originally that's what it was called based off of, I think I looked at CNN, I think I looked at the Washington Post. Wikipedia, we know Wikipedia, they don't like you using that in school because they don't want you to cite a Wikipedia source, but the information still aligned with what I saw on CNN, etc. So that's why I went with Wikipedia. But if I had to write an AP style paper, I couldn't use Wikipedia because I would get an immediate F. Okay. Anyway, so TikTok is a Virgo. By the way, so it was founded on September the 20th. So we're going to go down this natal chart as if we were doing you guys' natal chart or a influencer's natal chart. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I need to pull this out first because I can't see. So I'm about to go ahead and share my screen so you guys can look at what I'm looking at. Lord Jesus. I always do this. I have to make it bigger first and then I have to take it down. Okay. Go back to my tab. Oh my God. Go back. Ugh. Okay. Hope you guys can see that. Hold on. Let me stop sharing because it just looks weird. Try this again. The window. There we go. Okay. That's better. I can see. Woo. Okay. There it is. I need to make it bigger though. There we go. Hold on. Not user error. I just have to get this correct. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is the TikTok natal chart. Okay, it was founded in Beijing, China. I don't have the exact time because who does. So I just went with like 12:19 or just the standard time. All right, so with it being born on the 20th. Now, immediately, this I feel is very on brand, I would say, when it comes to TikTok, because if we break down number 20, now, actually, even before we break down the number 20, let's take it around. So as soon as I see number 20, immediately I think of the judgment card in tarot. Now, we know the judgment card is tied to change, right? But another thing that people may not realize is the judgment card is actually tied to politicians, okay? Because, well, that's just to me. Somebody else, it may not be tied to that. Because I've talked about on previous videos how the moon is tied to the municipal government, okay, or House of Representatives, etc. And so we know the number 2 is tied to the moon. So politician, okay. But we could say very political move, political creation when it pertains to this particular app. Don't know for what reason, politically speaking, it was created. I don't know, but that's kind of just like the vibe is given already if we're just taking it strictly from a standpoint of the judgment card. But we also know the moon is tied to the public, but the moon ebbs and flows, right? So popularity literally is 15 minutes, 15 seconds, and then you're done. But we could also say that TikTok gave that avenue for people to have that 15 minutes, 15 seconds. Not saying they're done, because some people are still going with it when it pertains to TikTok, but it's very moon type of energy. Okay. And since TikTok is Sun in Virgo, we could even take it a step further and say a lot of people, when it came out, they're just like, oh my God, it's so perfect. It's so perfect. It's the perfect app, etc., 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 yada, yada, yada. Okay. But back to it being founded on the 20th day. So if we pull up our cheat sheets, which I hope I can do this, I don't think you guys are going to be able to see. I don't think you guys can see that. I hope you guys can see that, but okay, thank God, because you don't want to see that. No, it's just weekly horoscopes that I just didn't finish. No, I did finish those. Those were from last week. I am going to do weekly horoscopes. They're not going to be super long. I ain't going to lie to you. They may even be like a sentence because there's just a lot going on, guys, where I'm at, to be honest. Some of you guys know, some of you guys don't know, but there is a lot going on, and even more supposed to be going on this week. Okay. But you know me, I am in good spirits. It's going to be what it's going to be. Okay. But anyway, so since TikTok is a number 2 day, the 2 is tied to Aquarius. That also fits the bill as well, because we know Aquarius is the internet, it's social media, it's the inventor, it's the scientist, it's the creator. Okay, Aquarius and Pisces placements heavy, the creators. Okay, now it may be very unconventional, because I would probably bet whenever somebody came to the meeting with this idea, but they probably weren't really shocked, because we know China, Tokyo, when it pertains to like the technology aspect, they can go there. They can push those particular boundaries because, maybe their minds are just like that. But like I said, with it being born on the 20th or a 2 day and it tied to Aquarius, the highlights here are sharing, which makes sense. If you think about the interface, if you think about TikTok for what it is, it's a lot of sharing, a lot of being able to, I don't know what you guys, I don't use TikTok. Okay. I don't know what it's called where you can like share your TikTok with somebody else, like they remix it, whatever it's called. Is that where Reels came from? Help me out. I know I should know this, but I don't know this because I ain't in TikTok like that. Anyway, to continue with this, also the number 2 is tied to a need to relate to others. So also, if we piggyback off of that, I don't know if TikTok really hit that boom in 2020, but it's a great possibility because of being born on the 20th day. So we could just say maybe 2020, or a year that ended with the number 2 in terms of it's going out there, boom, blowing up. But also because a highlighted point of the number 2 for Aquarius is a need to relate to others through feelings and emotions. But we also know that Aquarius gets that rap for being detached, for not being, emotional, right? So blowing up during a time where people just want to feel ingenious, maybe. Okay, I ain't gonna knock a genius invention. I'm just not going to do that. And then another thing that we have with the number 2, we have diplomacy. But didn't I say I think of politics when I see the government sometimes, when I see the judgment sometimes, thinking about just the context of it, and if you really deep dive into it. Now, the judgment is also tied to the book of Revelations. So, in a way, we could also say with being born on the number 20th, it was a matter of time before this app made its way in front of government. Because remember, judgment, politics, judgment card, also the book of Revelations. Whenever you come before God and you are being judged. So that is simply the way it is when it pertains to TikTok. Maybe they should have waited for a different type of day, because even if TikTok survives, this won't be the last. There may be many more meetings that they have to attend, many more Senate hearings that they have to sit for to explain. And also, you know, even though I'm not deep into government like that, I can absolutely understand why the government will have questions, because remember I said right off the bat, I get this very political type of energy tied to this app. Okay. Now, also the highlights here with the number 2 is cooperation. But remember I said reels, whatever you remixing, whatever the term is that they call for when you share stuff with other people on the platform and you like piggyback off of that. I don't even know what it's called. Okay. But to move forward. So challenges with the number 2, we have hypersensitive, very defensive, confrontational. Now, I think that is on brand as well, because those of you that have been on TikTok, just take a step back and think about the comments or the interactions that you've came across when it pertains to TikTok. Maybe we can add confrontational maybe to the challenges here as well. Okay. Anyway, so the lesson that needs to be learned for this Aquarius energy, and that's another thing that we're going to talk about on a later video. I've been going page by page in my astrology book, and I actually have been taking notes as if I'm in class. So my hands kind of hurt. But I just learned about Saturn more when it pertains to karma. And it doesn't necessarily relate to Saturn return, but the information that I'm learning does seem like it will be really good for people to know when it comes to going through Saturn return. Okay. But again, like I said, we'll have to talk about that on a different video. Anyway, so the lessons here: need to learn how to be more receptive. And maybe we can put criticism could be a challenge here for Aquarius and 2 energy, which that could be on brand as well, because we know, again, 2 is tied to the moon. The moon doesn't really like to be criticized. That's why the moon gets his ass out of there. Okay. Oh, you're going to criticize me in this sign? Don't worry about it. I'll be out your hair in about 2 days. Okay. So the moon doesn't stay around long in a way. It just, it moves on. So, anyway, moving forward. So another lesson here: open up to what life has to offer, give more. Now, maybe this wouldn't go the way that it's going if TikTok maybe set up, like, I don't know, a charity, charitable efforts. If TikTok set up, who knows, like, you know how YouTube has different programs where they have for like, Black creators or LGBTQ plus, I think I'm missing a couple letters, excuse me. But they have different programs for different groups of people or marginalized groups of people that they want to put out there to the world so that people can see their creativity. And they do, I think scholarships, or they bring you to like their headquarters and they have like conferences and stuff like that. Now, maybe if TikTok did something like that, they probably wouldn't be on the chopping block as much, but that's another challenge here when it pertains to number 2. So, because I think the other day I read in the book, it was talking about how the moon can be cold and dry. It's not really warm like we would think, like we assume the moon would be. That's more so reserved for the sun. So we have a lot of selfishness, but also 2 is very feminine. Okay. So, if you are a woman and want to be an influencer, or even if you are a man, also Aquarius, it's not surprising that probably a lot of people, musicians that didn't really have nothing really, blew off of TikTok, because that is the energy that it's coming with right off the rip when it comes to being founded. So I don't know if they're going to, and honestly, maybe this was supposed to be an app for music and it was supposed to stop right there. So I really don't know how it ventured over into something else, but they probably should not have necessarily let that happen, because maybe it wouldn't have gone this particular way. I don't know if they also were trying to aim for it to be more so kind of like Spotify, I guess, but not. So yes, there's a lot of different moving parts, I would say, when it pertains to this whole TikTok creation, TikTok founding type of thing. It can be a little bit all over the place in a way. I feel like I read the other day that maybe multi-talented people have heavy Saturn placements. Even though we would think it would be possibly Gemini or Mercury because it's like the jester, the salesman and stuff like that. But I think in that book, it was saying that heavy Saturn placements or like good aspects to one Saturn, especially if it's exalted or, at home, can bring somebody who is multi-talented. I'm going to have to go back and find that page, but I feel like I took notes on that. So we'll have to talk about that later too. But yes, okay. So got that out of the way. But who is this saying? Oh, good morning. I don't know who's. No idea. Good morning, Roberta. Hey, Paradoxal. Oh, yeah. I didn't realize Easter was this weekend until I drove by somebody's house this morning and they had the sign outside in their front lawn for Easter service this Sunday. And I'm like, oh, wow, it is Easter this weekend. Okay. But anyway, so moving back on over to the chart. Okay. So again, I just had to put in a birth time because we don't have anything. Now, interestingly enough, look where Saturn is at. Now, Saturn is in the 12th house. However, it looks like it's making a conjunction to the ascendant. Now, ascendant in Sagittarius, we know can be the guru, the teacher, the educator, foreign places. So imagine that. TikTok was born in a foreign place to us. Okay. And here we are. Okay. I was going to say something, but never mind. I'll keep it to myself. So, we also have Mars in the first house. Now, I've said it before in the past about Mars being on an angle. In books I've read, they are not fans of Mars being on the angle. I don't know if it's because of the energy that Mars brings, especially when it's in angular houses that are more so open to the public, like, self, house of self, for the 4th house, the 7th house, your enemies, the 10th house, your career. I don't know if that's the case again, but a lot of people are just not fans of Mars in the first. Okay. But remember, I talked about with it being tied to that number 2 energy of Aquarius, I said selfishness in some sort of a manner when we're talking about the challenges. So we couldn't even possibly say that with Mars being in the first. And Mars is making nothing but squares. It's making a square to the midheaven. But another thing that we have to take into account is it has Jupiter right on top of the midheaven. So I can absolutely see why it's ridiculously popular. Okay. Midheaven, I've talked about it a million times. Midheaven, Jupiter aspects, Jupiter, Moon. Okay. If those are making a conjunction or making a trine or a sextile, help from the public. It also helps to accumulate resources. So if they went into the boardroom, in the meeting room, and they're just like, look, we have this idea, we think it's going to be really good. They probably had no problems getting the funding or getting the support that they needed. And I believe that translates over to what we see as TikTok now. The amount of time it took for it to become a huge thing, to me, screams you're doing something with Jupiter Moon or something with when it comes to Jupiter midheaven. Something has to be there because you rose fast. Okay. Here's another thing. I mean, this may just be something that I'm feeling intuitively speaking. I don't know if maybe whenever they rolled this out, they tested it possibly through their military, or they may have like tested it through like their own colleges to kind of like see, how the children or the young adults would react. But for some reason, I'm getting like a heavy military vibe, honestly. I don't know if there's some infiltration of a military going on here, or remember I talked about politics with that judgment type of energy. We just never know. But anyway, so let's take a look at the moon. Okay. Since again, TikTok was born on a moon to me. Let's take a look where its moon is at. I can't see because this thing is in the way. Moon in Taurus. Okay. Now, this may be true. It may not necessarily not be true because we don't have the exact time, but we'll just go with it for what it is. And it also has a grand Earth trine. So it's going to take a lot to move TikTok if we're going to be honest. Its feet is on the ground. A lot of it, like I said, has to do with the support that it accumulated when it pertained to launching this thing. Okay. Moon in Taurus is maybe calm, cool, collected in some sort of a manner, but we know also Taurus is tied to what? Banking, self-worth. But I'm telling you, the person who came in with this, they didn't even have to second guess themselves. They're just like, oh, this is gonna hit. They were lying because it totally hit. Okay? But either way, let's take a look at, and it's in the 5th house of entertainment. Okay, again, celebrities, dating. Okay, I think that TikTok, I wouldn't even be surprised if possibly in the future they may try to roll out something like that app, something that revolves around some sort of a dating something. Okay, didn't they do that on Facebook or something like that? Yeah, maybe they may think about doing that, but let's see. Now, TikTok doesn't have any 28 degrees here, which 28 degrees is a house. So with that being said, I wouldn't necessarily nab this TikTok thing as the first of its kind. Okay, like I said, it may have been built off of something else. I don't know the history here. Again, I'm getting a feeling that it was originally supposed to be for music. So I don't know how that transition was made from music and to all this other stuff they got going on. Like I said, 28th degree, which can be a household name. It can be in some sort of a sense like long-term fame, or it's just hard for people to forget you. As you can see in the chart with numbers, I don't got no 28 degrees. We have a 2 degree of power, which is good because that Jupiter is sitting, look at that right here. Let me make it bigger so you can see. I hope you can see it. See, this Jupiter is sitting right on top of a midhaven in Libra. Okay. I mean, it's aesthetically pleasing. And that's another thing as well that I would say probably the public really likes about it, that is aesthetically pleasing. It's not running on that old software. Some of you guys know, you go to a website and you're just like, when was the last time this software or this website has been updated? I don't know. But anyway, so moon in 14 degrees. And I actually think the moon in 14 degrees is a degree of fame, but I'm going to pull up our little handy dandy cheat sheet when it comes to the 14th degree. So let me see. I don't know what day September the 20th is on, but let's see. 14 degrees. 14 degrees of Taurus, feminine degree. Yep. Influencer, fame, artistic, religious, mysterious, intuitive, self-reliance. Okay. So things that we already talked about. Now, well, it used to be, oh, I did say that. I think TikTok used to be ByteDance or whatever like that. Oh, there's the music. Okay, I drew a blank. But anyway, so since now it's TikTok, we could take a look at TikTok's name. The letter T is tied to Scorpio. The letter T is tied to Mars. Now, as I said before, Mars is in its first house of Sagittarius, okay? But Mars is making all of these squares when it comes to. Here's the thing, before I get deeper into that, as a creator, even though, TikTok is, TikTok, as a creator, I don't know long-term wise if this is a platform that you would want to be on, because TikTok with the letter T, so we're focusing on Mars, and is making a square to a Chiron in Pisces, and Pisces is all about creativity, right? And also Pisces is about spirituality. Spiritual people shouldn't even blink in TikTok's direction, because I don't necessarily think it's for you. Even if it's like, I guess, for you for a little bit, long term, you are shooting in the wrong basket. Okay. Even when it possibly pertains to musicians, this is not the platform long term wise that you should be looking at. So I would say if you are creative, or if you are in the spiritual realm, or if you are musician, you should sit down with your team or sit down with whoever, and you come up with something so good that is going to go viral, even though it's probably going to be ridiculous. And once you have your viral moment, you need to be moving on. because this is not a safe space for you to continue long-term wise, because this is an app that is more so built for itself. Now, again, this app may have possibly been built for something else that we don't know. It's possible, but I'm just saying, you need to get what you need to get, and you need to get the hell on out of there, because it's not going to be good for you in the long run, especially, like I said, for those of you that are creatives or in the spiritual or just even possibly music field. Forget about it. Now, if you really ain't got nothing going on for yourself and you just feel like talking at the camera and stuff like that, or maybe even stealing other people's stuff, then you be my guest. That's you. But I don't think it really benefits creatives in the way that they're trying to make it seem like it does. I don't think so. I mean, this may be a stretch, but Mars is tied to military. I don't know if maybe, what if it was used in some sort of a manner to, I said it before, to possibly infiltrate people's military systems? Because think about how much data and stuff like that is on our phones, on our computers, et cetera, et cetera. So these countries, are they paranoid a little bit for no reason? I think no, because this is just, like I said, what I'm feeling and also what I'm looking at. I really don't care for this Saturn in the 12th house as well when it pertains to TikTok, because we know that the 12th house is subconscious, right? The 12th house also is prisons. And so it's also it's not weird to me just by looking at the chart. It is interesting how now they're kind of just like, we need to put a timer when it pertains to TikTok, because guess what? It gets into your subconscious so much so that you can't get your ass off of the couch. But that's what it was programmed to do, in my opinion. Okay. Now, that's why I got to be moving. I got to touch some grass. I just can't do it. Anyway, so let's look at Mars. Mars on the 25th degree of Sagittarius. So I can't really say that they are 100% wrong in having questions for this platform in terms of, their systems, software, security. I can't say that they're wrong, only because of this Saturn right here that's in 12th conjunct the ascendant. That's my opinion. So the 5th degree, look at this. Listen up. Mars on the 25th degree of Sagittarius in TikTok's chart says it's one that deals with issues with your eyesight, subject to mental, verbal, and spiritual attack, victim of gossip. See? Not only is TikTok going through this, rightfully so, because, again, in my opinion, something's not right here. And I may be overthinking it, or I may not be overthinking it. Okay? And that's another thing. You know what? I did not finish that chart about looking at C19. Oh, another thing as well that I need to look at, the chart on the war in Ukraine. I'm pretty sure I can find the exact time when all that started, and we can take a look at that chart later on. Because I believe I said this may go into 2025. I really hope not, because who wants to be dealing with the war that long? But I also remember talking about another type of war that could be coming in years. I actually talked about that on today's podcast, I think. Yes, I did. So you guys should really listen to today's podcast, because I'm telling you, I don't have a feeling, but I got a feeling. So back to what I was talking about. Okay. So we see how Mars is making all these squares to the midhaven. So I would say, because we know the midhaven is tied to public, we know the midhaven is tied to reputation. Okay. So it doesn't really have that great of a reputation as we may think. Not when it pertains to people that are, or the powers that be. We know the 10th house is also tied to what? Politics. Presidentes. Okay. So, it'll be interesting to see. But anyway, what else was we going to look at in this TikTok chart? I didn't want to spend too much time on this. I guess we can look at Saturn, because Saturn is tied to destiny, right? So with Saturn in the 12th, again, we talked about our, is it subconscious? We talked about hospitals. We talked about also charity as well. But we also, what else is the 12th house besides it being Pisces? Where's my chart? I should have had all this pulled up, but this is on the whim. Where are you? Oh, albums. Here we go. Favorites. Okay. Where are you? 12th house. All right. So, charity, social work, hospitals, prisons, travel, and foreign lands. Okay. But this is the thing that is going to get them. They may mess around, and them being available in foreign lands may come to an extreme halt, because their Mars in the first house, as well as that Saturn in the 12th house, I don't really feel that it is in favor long-term wise for them to be in foreign lands. But again, remember I said, we're trying to infiltrate a system here. So we really don't need to be in foreign lands long. Allegedly, possibly, I could be wrong. But I don't really feel like this doesn't give me a long-term thing. They may end up changing this to something else. It's already been branched off to be something different than what it originally was. Again, I feel like it was originally for music, but think about the impact that music makes on the world. It is probably the world's biggest propaganda, biggest billboard you could ever have, because music is influential. People listen to music to feel good, I don't know, to feel sad, to feel angry. There's a lot of emotions involved in music, listening to music. So it is, the biggest way to get protractors to your brands. Also, to make money, because who doesn't want to make money? But where is the money going? Could be going to education, to possibly fund something. Maybe it could be going to education to fund something, invest in something that they wanted to do originally, but they didn't have the capital. So we got to build something to get the capital. Okay. I'm not going to say smoke and mirrors, because to me, this is pretty cut and dry. And it probably was pretty cut whenever they came up with this idea as well. It just isn't really cut and dry, or the world is feeling shocked in a manner when it pertains to TikTok. It don't shock me. Is it maybe the plans I have in my 11th house? Maybe. Because nothing really shocks me. That's why I be chilling. And I'll be outside touching, because nothing shocks me. I just go on about my day. But anyway, so let's look at the degree that Saturn is on. Saturn's on the 10th areas. Let's take a look at the 10th degree of Sag. Okay, where are you? 10th degree of Sagittarius. And the 10th degree is actually a Capricorn degree. And we know Capricorn is naturally tied to the 10th house, which also Capricorn, the 10th house is what? Our public life, our profession. Okay. What I say before, presidents, where is, Capricorn is also the FBI. So anything tied to FBI military probably should not be using TikTok. Okay. My opinion. Let's go Sagittarius. 10 degrees. Okay. See, maybe I'm not wrong. I could be wrong though. Sagittarius 10 degrees is one of strategy, aggressiveness, ambitious, making enemies, dangers, premature ending. So we know Saturn is tied to destiny, right? So remember I said, I don't necessarily feel like this is going to live long. This may end up being forced back into only its country or only a particular region. Okay. But as we can see of the Saturn being on this particular degree, like I said, from off the rip, there was a strategy, there was a plan in place, and I feel like they probably have fulfilled. Maybe they already fulfilled their destiny. So this whole thing about them being tied up in Congress and stuff like that, maybe they really don't care. I don't know how much money they take off the top when it pertains to creators, but like I said, I don't think I would really want to be involved in it, because it just seems like you'll be climbing the mountaintop a long time to get your dues when it pertains to getting paid for what you create. That's why I say I don't really see this as a app where you should just plant your feet on the ground and be like, oh, like I said, it's not going to go away without a fight. But I don't necessarily think that this is one that is supposed to stand the test of time, in my opinion. There was a plan in place. I really feel like the plan has already been done and over with, and they're good. So yeah, that's a look at when it pertains to the tick of the talk. Okay, so I guess if you guys have questions and you just so happen to run back through this and you are listening to the replay, you can just drop questions, and if I don't forget about it, I will respond. Paradoxal. I don't know if you're still in here, but if you are, does being born on a Saturday create heavy Saturn energy in a person's chart? Not necessarily. It depends on what your Saturn is doing in your chart. I was born on a Saturday, because I'm cool like that. But I was born on Saturdays. So I wouldn't necessarily say that is 100% true, because you could be born on a Saturday and your Saturn could be exalted and it could be making nothing but good aspects, and people will think that you're very Saturnian. Okay. So not necessarily. Just because you're born on a particular day doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be like heavy Saturn energy. It could be because, based off my theory, I look at the day that you were born, not all the time. Okay. But yes, so like I said, if you guys go back through the replay and you have questions about something that I mentioned in the TikTok's chart, you guys can let me know, but I will later. Make sure you listen to my podcast episode because you want to listen to it, because I did do a couple predictions in there as well. But we